My name is Elena Vargas. I am 32 years old. On my wedding day, 3 empty chairs spoke louder than my parents ever had. No call, no message, only absence dressed in tradition. While I said, I do, they said nothing. Somehow that silence echoed louder than any vow. The guests smiled, cameras flashed. But pity is easy to recognize even under champagne light. I told myself I was fine. I was not. 2 years later, when my porch appeared on Instagram, my mother finally remembered my number. We have to talk, family meeting tomorrow, she said. I laughed, a small sound sharper than I intended. After 5 years of silence. It's important, she repeated. Father added, tell her it's urgent. I imagined the same hallway and framed awards. I imagined their faces calculating my success. What is this about? I asked. Her pause said everything. We'll explain tomorrow, she replied as if it were a scheduled invitation. When she hung up, I felt neither anger nor nostalgia, only clarity settling like evening mist over water. They had not changed, they had simply noticed the car. He looked up from his laptop across the table. Everything okay? He asked. Mom wants a meeting. Are you going? He finally asked. Yes, I said, I think it's time. That night the house hummed with practiced silence. I wrote an email to my lawyer for the morning. Please review the trust documents. I typed it without trembling. If they called a meeting, I would not arrive with empty hands. I slept lightly as if the walls were listening again. Morning coffee steamed while Portland looked grey beyond the glass. You don't have to go, he said, passing me the cup. I'm going, I answered, but not as their daughter. I'll go as the woman who learned to rebalance sheets on her own. The October light filtered through familiar trees. Each mile peeled away a layer I had built. Their house looked smaller, as if time had corrected the perspective. White windows, brick porch, perfectly trimmed hydrangeas. They never called when I was struggling. They called when success did. The drive to my childhood home took 40 minutes. October light slipped between the trees, soft but cold. Each mile felt like peeling an old scar. When the house appeared, it looked smaller than memory, as if time had finally adjusted the scale. Mom opened the door before I could knock. Her eyes went straight to the luxury car. You've done well, she said. Hello, I replied, nothing more. Inside smelled of lemon cleaner and old control. The dining table was already set with papers stacked beside Dad's cup. He sat at the head like it was a board meeting. Alejandro and his wife were there wearing ready masks of concern. Elena, we appreciate you coming, Father said. I didn't know I had a choice, I answered. Your brother has had financial setbacks. Tuition, mortgage, they're behind. We hoped you could help until things stabilize. Alejandro leaned forward with a salesman's smile. Family helps family. Father slid a folder across the table. Here are the loan papers. We fill them out for convenience. My name stared back from the signature line. Something inside me went very still. Convenience, I said softly. Of course they had planned this meeting for a long time. Mom's voice softened into her favorite weapon. Darling, don't be dramatic. We're asking, not demanding. It still felt like a trap. Alejandro snorted. You always think you're being attacked. You made your money, now act like family and share. Father placed a hand on my shoulder in fake support. Elena, we invested in your education. This is your chance to give back. I almost laughed. You mean the education I paid for with scholarships? Why wouldn't you co-sign my loans? Silence. Mom tried again, voice trembling perfectly. Think of your nieces, darling. They shouldn't suffer for this. Her words floated like another trap. I stood and walked to the window. The same swing outside, peeling paint, frayed rope. Unchanged, just like them. Where were you on my wedding day? I asked. Alejandro blinked. What? 2 years ago, where were you? Mom's lips tightened. We were busy. Alejandro had an event. Father added shamelessly, it wasn't convenient. The room froze. Even the clock seemed to stop. I turned, calm now. And now you come because you saw the car online. Why am I suddenly worth your time? No one spoke. I closed the folder and placed it in front of Father. You'll have my answer tomorrow. As I left, Mom called out, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I didn't turn back. It's already as hard as it's going to get. They wanted me alone. I brought the books. The next afternoon light cut across the dining table like a spotlight waiting for its scene. I parked the luxury car on the street and let the engine purr a second longer than necessary. This time my pulse stayed steady. I was no longer the silent one. Mom opened the door in a basic sweater and rehearsed smile. "You came," she said. "Of course. You said it was important." Father sat again at the head. Papers scattered. Glasses low. Alejandro lounged beside him, tie loose. The picture of a man wronged by the world. "The situation hasn't improved," Father began. "We'd like to settle the loan today." I set my briefcase on the table but did not sit. "Before that," I said calmly, "there's something you should see." Alejandro smirked. "More pictures of your car?" "Not quite." I took a thick envelope from the briefcase and placed it on the table. The bold header read, Rivera Media Scholarship Foundation. "What is this?" Mom frowned. "A surprise," I said softly. "Since we're talking about family investments, I wanted to share mine." Father scanned the document, confusion turning to disbelief. $16 million. Every cent legally protected and dedicated to funding education for young women in media arts. Alejandro laughed, a brittle sound. "You gave $16 million to strangers?" "Not strangers," I replied. "To girls like me who were invisible in their own homes." Mom's hand trembled. "Elena, that's reckless. You could have helped your family." I tapped my phone. The red light blinked for transparency. "I'm recording this conversation so it's clear who asked what." Father tensed. "That's unnecessary." "It's essential," I answered. "You made your expectations clear. Now let me make mine clear." I leaned forward. "You missed my graduation, my university showcase, my wedding. Every milestone I hoped you would attend, you chose something else." Mom's voice cracked. "We only did what we thought was best." "No," I said softly, "you did what was convenient." Alejandro slammed his hand on the table. "You think you're better than us because you got lucky." "Lucky?" I laughed gently. 3 jobs through college, sleeping in my car between classes. That wasn't luck, Alejandro. That was survival. No one spoke. The air thickened with everything unsaid. I straightened. "You wanted to talk about family. Here is my definition. Family shows up. You didn't." Father's voice dropped. "Blood is thicker than water." "Then you should have thought of that before you thinned it," I said. I closed the briefcase and walked to the door. Alejandro shouted, "You can't just leave." I looked back, calm and firm. "I already did, 2 years ago." The door closed. Outside the air felt new. Not lighter, just real. They came for money. I gave them a mirror. The next morning headlines bloomed across Portland. Self-made founder turns pain into purpose. The photo showed me beside the Rivera Media banner. Calm, serene, untouchable. By noon my inbox overflowed with congratulations, interview requests, curiosity. Buried among them was one email from Mom. "Have you humiliated this family?" I did not reply. That afternoon security call from reception. "My family is here. They demand to see you." Through the glass walls I saw them. Mom waving, Father furious, Alejandro red-faced. My team froze. "Escort them out," I said calmly. "No shouting, no scandal, only boundaries with posture." Mom's voice reached faintly down the hallway. "You're abandoning your family." I turned. "No," I murmured. "I'm saving myself." That night we poured 2 glasses of wine on the balcony. The city sparkled below, steady, alive. "And that's it?" he asked. "That's it," I said. "They showed who they are. I just made sure everyone else saw it too." He smiled. "Revenge in your style." "Not revenge," I said. "Redefinition." A week later I stood inside the Foundation's new studio. Sunlight poured over rows of cameras and laptops. Laughter echoed. Girls worked on their first short films. One looked up. "Miss Vargas, can you check this framing?" I stepped beside her. "Perfect. You're seeing the world as it should be." Outside rain shimmered against the glass. No missing faces, no empty chairs, only the peace I had finally earned. Some families are built, not born. If you ever had to walk away to find peace, you are not alone. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.